As Shun Yan burst into my courtyard with Lu Ru Yan, I was in the midst of arranging the newly acquired golden hairpin flowers. The red agate glimmered brilliantly under the light. His complexion was ashen, and he grasped my wrist with such force that it felt as though he intended to crush the bones.
Suwan.
How dare you poison Ru Yan? Though my wrist throbbed with pain, I maintained a smile, casting my gaze toward the frail beauty behind him, her complexion as pale as death. Poison? My husband, from where do you conjure such accusations? Lu Ru Yan clutched her heart, her voice trembling, tears brimming in her eyes. Sister, I know you resent me, but why would you place such a deadly drug in my bird's nest soup? I merely wish to serve my husband well and help the Shin family flourish. Her form weakened, and she leaned into Shun Yan's embrace. He immediately enveloped her in concern, his gaze directed at me like a dagger laced with venom. Evidence of your guilt. Your maid, Xiao Chui, has confessed that you instructed her to tamper with Ru Yan's tonic. Su Wan, you possess a heart as cold as a serpent's. So this is what awaited me. I leisurely withdrew my hand, gently massaging my reddened wrists. My husband, I spoke softly, just loud enough for the eavesdropping servants in the courtyard to hear. You claim I poisoned? Where is your proof? Merely Xiao Chui? She is but a maid whom I punished yesterday, harboring resentment. Do you truly believe her words? Shan Yan paused, clearly taken aback by my forthright rebuttal. Lu Ru Yan's sobs intensified, sister. At this point, do you still wish to deny it? That bowl of bird's nest. The doctor has verified it. There is indeed something amiss. I nodded slightly and walked directly to the stone table in the courtyard. Upon it lay a food container, which held the so-called poisoned bird's nest. I lifted the bowl and brought it close to my nose, detecting a faint, almost imperceptible taste of bitter almonds. It seems something has indeed been added. I set the bowl down, my tone as calm as if I were merely commenting on the pleasant weather. Both Xin Yan and Lu Ru Yan were taken aback. Xin Yan exclaimed in anger, you admit it? I smiled and turned to Lu Ru Yan, locking my gaze onto her tear-stained eyes that glimmered with a hint of pride. Admit what? That I added some nourishing brown sugar ginger powder to your bird's nest to regulate your cold womb? What? Lu Ru Yan's expression of sorrow froze instantly. Impossible. Xin Yan vehemently denied, insisting that the doctor had clearly stated it contained a poison that causes infertility. Oh? Which quack examined it? I raised an eyebrow, clapping my hands. Chun Tao, please fetch Mr. Li from the revival hall and bring along the receipt for the brown sugar ginger powder I purchased yesterday. And, by the way, do bring the inventory ledger as well. It clearly records that yesterday at the third watch, I personally retrieved 2 taels of premium brown sugar ginger powder, intending to make sweet soup for myself. How is it that the ingredients for my sweet soup ended up in Lu Yinyang's bowl? Chun Tao promptly replied, yes, my lady, and dashed off. Lu Ru Yan's complexion began to pale. Xin Yan furrowed his brows, casting a suspicious glance at Lu Ru Yan. I leisurely added, oh, and dear husband, you mentioned that Xiao Chui identified me? How coincidental, for last evening, I personally witnessed Lu Yinyang's maid, Xiaoju, secretly slipping a bulging purse to Xiao Chui. I was quite puzzled at the time, marveling at how generous Lu Yinyang was to her servants. Before I could finish, Xiao Chui, being dragged in by 2 matrons, suddenly fell to her knees, trembling like a leaf. Master, spare me. Madam, spare me. It was Qiu. She gave me 10 taels of silver and instructed me to claim that the brown sugar powder taken by the madam was poison. She said that if successful, Lu Yinyang would promote me to a second-tier maid. I was momentarily bewitched. I deserved to die. The courtyard fell into a deathly silence. Lu Ru Yan's face drained of color, her lips quivering, unable to utter a single word. Xin Yan glanced between me and the ashen-faced Lu Ru Yan, then at the quaking Xiao Chui, his expression shifting from green to white. Mr. Li was soon summoned, examined the bird's nest, and stroked his beard. To Master Xin and Madam, this bowl of bird's nest indeed contains only brown sugar and ginger powder, with no other substances. This ginger powder is made from premium old ginger, which warms the womb and dispels cold, beneficial and harmless for women. The inventory ledger and purchase receipt were laid out clearly before Xin Yan. The evidence was irrefutable. Xin Yan turned abruptly, staring incredulously at Lu Ru Yan. His eyes filled with anger and disappointment at being deceived. Ru Yan, how could you? Lu Ruyen staggered slightly, clutching Xin Yan's sleeve tightly. Tears streaming down her face in earnest. Yan go. No. Let me explain. It was her. Suwan is framing me. She set this trap for me long ago. She has such a wicked heart. I observed her frantic demeanor, finding it deeply ironic. Lui Niang, I spoke softly, yet my voice rose above her cries. This brown sugar ginger powder was personally retrieved by me yesterday. How could I possibly have foreseen that you would accuse me of poisoning today? And prepared evidence in advance to counter your slander? Do you possess the ability to foretell? You. Lu Ruyen was momentarily speechless, her trembling finger pointing at me. Her gaze filled with venomous hatred. Suwan, do not revel in your triumph. You think you've won? The one Yenga loves is me. It always has been. You are but a pitiful creature occupying a position. Her words struck like daggers, piercing both Xin Yan's vulnerabilities and my own. Indeed. The fire of anger in Xin Yan's eyes was replaced by a complex pain, and he instinctively tightened his hold on Lu Ruyen's arm. I watched them leaning on each other, feeling an icy chill within me, yet my face blossomed into a radiant smile. Even as I adjusted the red agate hairpin at my temple. Yes, Lu's sister is right. I spoke with an airy lightness, feigning innocence. Your husband naturally holds only you dear. Thus, I have come to terms with it. Holding this position of the legitimate wife has become quite exhausting. I turned to Xin Yan, my smile unwavering, yet my words dripped with icy resolve. Xin Yan, let us part ways. Xin Yan jolted as if he had not heard me clearly. What did you say? Lu Ruyen, too, ceased her weeping, her eyes widening in shock. I said, let us part ways. I repeated clearly, each word resounding with conviction. This position of the legitimate wife, Lu's sister covets. I no longer desire it. Since your affections for each other are so profound, why should I remain in the middle a hindrance? Allow me to grant you both the freedom you seek, and in turn, provide myself with a path to survival. I paused, relishing the mix of shock, bewilderment, and a hint of offended anger on Xin Yan's face, and the sudden surge of elation in Lu Ruyen's eyes. However, I swiftly redirected my tone, my smile brightening. As for parting ways, I shall not leave empty-handed. Everything that is rightfully mine must accompany me. My dowry will surely be taken in full. Over these 3 years with the Shin family, I have managed the shops and farmlands, quadrupling their profits, with accounts meticulously recorded. According to the law and our original agreement, I am entitled to half of the appreciated value. As for the antiques and artworks, the gold and silver adornments listed in my dowry, none may be retained. Furthermore, the silk shop in the western part of the city, the prime location, was acquired with my dowry funds. The deed is in my possession. And it too belongs to me. I counted on my fingers, itemizing each claim with clarity and precision. Oh, and how could I forget? I feigned sudden recollection. Glancing at the pale-faced Lu Ruyen, Lu's sister, being so favored, I presume you would not wish to use my belongings. The furnishings and decor in my courtyard, made of the finest wangwali and rosewood, came as part of the Su family's dowry. It would be unreasonable for me not to take them, lest you use them and feel discomfort. The joy on Lu Ruyen's face had not yet faded when my enumeration of assets struck her like a blow. Especially upon hearing about the wangwali and rosewood, a fleeting glint of greed and resentment flashed in her eyes. Xin Yan's expression darkened entirely. Suwan, do not be absurd. He barked, parting ways is not a jest. The Shin family will not allow you to come and go as you please, nor take away such vast assets. You are dreaming. Absurd? I scoffed, meeting his furious gaze. Xin Yan, I have been married to you for 3 years, managing the household, overseeing the businesses, and honoring my in-laws. Have I faltered in any respect? Today, your beloved has accused me of poisoning, with evidence and witnesses at hand. It is a matter of fact. Had I not been prepared, I would have already been repudiated or even reported to the authorities. How is it that Lu Ruyen may seek my life, yet I am not permitted to claim a portion of my existence? I stepped closer, my presence unwavering. The prosperity of the Shin family's wealth relies on whom? On you, the young master who knows only to indulge in poetry and romance, or on me, the diligent and devoted Shin Xiaofu Ren? Today, either we part ways, and I take what is rightfully mine, allowing us to part amicably, or we expose this matter, along with Lu Yinyang's bribery of servants to frame the legitimate wife, to the clan elders and invite respected neighbors to adjudicate? Let us see if the Shin family, soaked in such disgrace, can still maintain its reputation in Jiangning. You dare. Shin Yan trembled with rage, his fingers shaking as he pointed at me. Do you question my courage? I stood my ground, my voice rising. Imbued with a sense of irrevocable determination, Shin Yan, do not push me. I, Su Wan, can revitalize the Shin family's assets or turn them upside down. The barefoot have nothing to fear from the shod. Should I leave the Shin family, taking my dowry and silver, I shall still live splendidly. But what of you? What of the Shin family's reputation? Your precious Lui Niang, burdened with the crime of conspiring against her mistress, even if you protect her, can the clan accept her? The scorn of the outside world could drown her. The servants in the courtyard held their breath, not daring to utter a sound. Lu Ruyan's face turned ashen with fear, clinging desperately to Shin Yan's arm. Yan go. No. We cannot let her reveal this. My reputation, the Shin family's reputation. Shin Yan's chest heaved violently as he fixed his gaze upon me, his eyes ablaze with a ferocity that seemed ready to devour. He likely never anticipated that the usually docile and composed me, who often spoke little, would reveal such a fierce countenance when pushed to the brink. Ultimately, that tempest of rage, upon encountering Lu Ruyan's fearful and pleading gaze, coupled with the potential disgrace it could bring to his family, was gradually subdued, leaving only the cold sting of humiliation. Through gritted teeth, he spat out a few words. Well done, Su Wan. You wish to divorce? I shall grant you that. You wish to take those belongings? They are yours. From this moment forth, you and the Shin family shall be severed beyond all ties. Thank you, Master Shin, for your generosity. I immediately bowed, my smile perfectly composed, as if it were not I who had just engaged in such a fierce confrontation. Please write the divorce papers at once. I require my dowry list and the account books from the past 3 years. Chun Tao, go fetch them. Once Master Shin reviews and signs them, I will promptly gather my belongings and depart, without delaying you and Sister Lu's auspicious time. Shin Yan was so enraged he almost fainted, sweeping his sleeve as he turned away, nearly shouting, to the study. What began as a tumultuous scene of infidelity and venomous confrontation ultimately culminated in Shin Yan begrudgingly penning the divorce decree. I departed the Shin family, accompanied by an imposing procession of my dowry, including that Wangwali bridal bed and a substantial stack of silver notes and property deeds. Lu Ruyan stood at the entrance of the Shin residence, leaning against Shin Yan, watching my departing carriage with a triumphant smile that resembled that of a victorious conqueror. She likely believed that by driving me away, she would secure her position as Mrs. Shin, living harmoniously with her beloved Yan Go. Unfortunately, her joy was premature. As I sat in the swaying carriage, I lifted the curtain for one last glance at the grand entrance of the Shin residence. Shin Yan, Lu Ruyan. Our account has only just begun to be settled. What you owe me I shall reclaim with interest. Upon leaving the Shin family, I took up residence in a modest courtyard that I had secretly purchased and renovated. The location was serene, a tranquil oasis amid the bustling city. Chun Tao, directing the placement of our belongings, wore an expression of exhilaration. Madam. No, miss. We have finally escaped that den of wolves. Did you not see Lu Yingyang's smugness at the end? Humph. Let us see how long that lasts. I sipped my tea and smiled. Smugness? She would soon find herself devoid of such feelings. I understood Lu Ruyan all too well. Since her rebirth, her greatest obsession had been the position of Mrs. Shin and the favor of Shin Yan. Now that I had gracefully exited, she would undoubtedly believe victory was hers. Yet, she had forgotten that the Shin family was not solely comprised of Shin Yan. There were also two formidable figures, Shin Yan's biological mother, my former mother-in-law, Madame Zhou, and Shin Yan's astute and ambitious father, Lord Shin. Madame Zhou had initially allowed me into the family, valuing my Su family's substantial dowry and my respectable administrative skills. Lu Ruyan? A daughter of a condemned man, hailing from a fallen household, possessing only a modicum of beauty and Shin Yan's laughable true love. In Madame Zhou's eyes, she was not even worthy of tying my shoes. As for Lord Shin, a businessman who valued profit, he placed great importance on prestige. Although I had suppressed Lu Ruyan's recent scandal within the household, word had spread throughout the inner residence. Could Lord Shin not harbor grievances? Sure enough. Within a few days, Chun Tao rushed in with the latest news. Miss, there's commotion at the Shin residence. I heard that Lui Nyang, having just been elevated in status, went to pay her respects to the old lady, only to be left standing in the courtyard for a full 2 hours. Not even a cup of hot tea was offered. And more. Lord Shin has declared that Lui Nyang, being of lowly birth, does not understand propriety and should remain in the courtyard to learn her manners, lest she embarrass herself. It seemed Shin Yan had even exchanged heated words with his father over this, only to receive a thorough reprimand from Lord Shin. As expected, I leisurely pruned a potted plant, and Shin Yan? Is he not enamored with his white moonlight? Has he not stirred? Oh, he has. But this time, Lord Shin's attitude is quite resolute, stating that the Shin family has just undergone a divorce and is currently under scrutiny. To elevate a lowly concubine to the position of the main wife now would be to disgrace the family. He advised Shin Yan to lay low for a year or two before considering it again. A year or two. For Lu Ruyen, who was eager to ascend, it was akin to a slow death. Given her temperament, how could she ever endure such a weight? What shall we do next, miss? Chun Tao rubbed her hands in anticipation. Patience, I set down the shears, allowing her to savor the taste of unfulfilled desire. The time was not yet ripe. I required an opportunity, one that would drive her completely mad and throw her into disarray. That opportunity soon presented itself. A month later, the annual flower festival in Jiangning unfolded. This grand event was a showcase for the city's young ladies and matrons to display their talents and vie for attention, while also serving as a crucial networking occasion for various families. In previous years, as Mrs. Shin, I would naturally have represented the Shin family, overseeing social engagements and ensuring everything ran smoothly. This year, however, I had been cast aside. Yet Lu Ruyen, buoyed by Shin Yan's affection and her new status as a prospective concubine, was itching to make her mark. She desperately needed such an occasion to validate herself, to infiltrate the elite circles of Jiangning, and to wash away the stain of her unsavory origins. Shin Yan, too, was determined to elevate her. It was said that he had spared no expense to hire the finest embroiderers in Jiangning, commissioning a dazzling set of robes adorned with jewels, ensuring she would outshine all others at the festival. When the news reached me, I was immersed in sketching a few newly bloomed black orchids. A dazzling robe? Exquisite jewels? I dipped my brush into ink and delicately outlined an orchid leaf, contemplating a lavish investment. Indeed, Chun Ta scoffed. I heard that set of jewels cost Shin Yan several thousand taels of silver. Lui Nyang has been strutting about, boasting how she will outshine everyone at the flower festival. I set my brush down, gazing at the elegant orchids on the page, and smiled slightly. She desires the spotlight? I shall grant it to her. Chun Tao, please retrieve those bolts of moonshadow silk that were delivered from the embroidery pavilion a while ago. Chun Tao's eyes lit up. Miss, what are you planning? What am I planning? I leisurely cleaned my hands. Why? To attend the flower festival and pay a visit to my dear sister. The flower festival was held in the largest plum orchard on the outskirts of the city. The red plums blazed like fire, their fragrance wafting through the air. Carriages and horses from various families streamed in, the sound of jingling bells and the sight of elegant figures creating a lively atmosphere. I presented my invitation, using the name my mother bore before marriage. Although the Su family could not rival the Shin family in wealth, we were still a reputable family in Jiangning with deep roots. The steward at the gate paused upon seeing my name, but quickly regained his composure, bowing respectfully. Miss Su, please. My attire today was deliberately understated yet thoughtfully curated. I wore a simple aquamarine silk gown made from the finest moonshadow silk, appearing plain at first glance, but under the sunlight, it radiated a pearl-like luster, exuding an elegance that surpassed the gaudy colors of others. My hair was simply styled, adorned with a flawless white jade orchid hairpin, and dainty pearl earrings dangled at my ears. Without heavy makeup, my complexion appeared fair as snow, and my demeanor was serene. Compared to the competing matrons and young ladies around me, I resembled an ethereal orchid hidden in a secluded valley. As I entered the venue, countless gazes converged upon me, astonishment, curiosity, scrutiny, sympathy, and even a fair share of schadenfreude. After all, the tale of my divorce had long ceased to be a secret among the elite circles of Jiangning. To many, I was merely a pitiful creature, scorned by my husband and defeated by a concubine. Feigning ignorance, I took my seat in a discreet yet well-positioned area with Chun Tao, quietly sipping tea. Before long, a stir arose at the entrance. The main attraction had arrived. Lu Ruyen, clad in a gown woven with golden thread and adorned with a plethora of colorful gemstones, sparkled in the sunlight, nearly blinding all who beheld her. The headpiece of red gold and rubies she wore was particularly striking, casting a brilliant glow that accentuated her meticulously painted features. She tightly clung to Xinyan's arm, her chin slightly raised, exuding a deliberate air of modesty and pride, her gaze sweeping across the entire venue as if surveying her dominion. Xinyan was equally resplendent in his attire, brimming with vitality, his eyes filled with affection and pride as they rested upon Lu Ruyen. The appearance of this stunning couple undeniably attracted considerable attention. Some marveled at the extravagant worth of their garments, while others acknowledged Lu Ruyen's beauty, but more significantly, there were profound glances and hushed whispers. Is that the new favorite of the Xin family, Aunt Lu? Indeed, she possesses a certain allure. TSK, look at her attire. As if she has draped herself in the treasures of a vault, eager for all to recognize Xin Xiaoye's affection for her. Oh, but look over there. Xin Xiaofu Ren, or rather, Miss Su, appears quite plain. Even plainness cannot disguise the fact that she is a discarded woman, pitifully ousted by such a temptress. Hush! Keep your voice down. Lu Ruyen evidently caught wind of the murmurs, yet she instinctively filtered out the negative comments. Absorbing only the praise directed at her beauty and attire, her expression growing ever more triumphant. Her gaze roamed the crowd before landing squarely on me, filled with the provocative arrogance of a victor and unabashed disdain. She, entwined with Xinyan, strode directly towards me. Sister Su, what a coincidence. Lu Ruyen's voice was sweet yet cloying, deliberately elevated in tone. I didn't expect you to be here as well. You look quite elegant today. She placed particular emphasis on the word elegant, her eyes scanning my simple dress and jewelry, her mockery evident. Xinyan stood beside her, his gaze upon me complex, tinged with embarrassment and guilt, yet predominantly characterized by a condescending scrutiny, as if assessing the depths of my defeat. I set down my teacup, lifted my eyes, and regarded them calmly, a hint of the perfect smile gracing my lips. Aunt Lu, I inclined my head slightly, the address appropriately detached. It is indeed quite a coincidence. At the Huazhao Festival, one must come to bask in the joy. You are radiant today, Aunt Lu. You are undoubtedly the center of attention. My tone was serene, devoid of any bitterness, almost sounding like genuine praise. Lu Ruyen felt as though she had struck a pillow, her prepared words of ostentation caught in her throat, her expression shifting slightly. Xinyan cleared his throat, seemingly about to speak. Just then, the MC's voice rang out from the high platform at the center of the garden, announcing the highly anticipated highlight of the Huazhao Festival. The dance of the flower goddess was about to commence. This was the most celebrated segment of the festival, featuring the talented young ladies or matrons of the city showcasing their dance skills. The one who emerged victorious would not only earn the title of flower goddess, but also receive a substantial gift personally presented by the governor's wife, a tremendous honor. Lu Ruyen's eyes lit up instantly. This was her paramount objective for the day. She immediately donned a sweet smile and gently shook Xinyan's arm. Brother Yan, the dance is starting. Let us hurry over. Xinyan nodded, leading her towards the VIP section, casting one last glance in my direction. I remained seated, unyielding, and quietly instructed Chun Tao. Soon, it was Lu Ruyen's turn to perform. She had prepared for this moment for quite some time. Her movements were indeed graceful, and paired with her dazzling attire, she captivated a fair share of attention as she twirled and leaped on stage. Xinyan, seated below, watched her enraptured, his eyes filled with admiration. Upon the conclusion of her dance, the applause was sparse. After all, while her outfit was beautiful, it was excessively gaudy, clashing with the elegant ambience of the May Garden and the essence of the flower goddess. Yet, Lu Ruyen felt quite pleased with herself, standing on stage, slightly breathless, awaiting the crowd's cheers and evaluations. The MC was about to announce the results when a clear voice suddenly pierced the silence. Not loud, but distinctly audible throughout the now quiet May Garden. Oh? That golden phoenix hairpin on Aunt Lu's head looks rather familiar, doesn't it? The crowd turned to see Chun Tao, seated beside me, innocently pointing at the most prominent hairpin adorning Lu Ruyen's coiffure. Lu Ruyan's complexion changed instantly. Xin Yan furrowed his brow as well. Chun Tao, seemingly oblivious to their expressions, continued reminiscing, I remember now. That hairpin, along with the pair of ruby earrings Aunt Lu is wearing, was specifically given to our miss on her birthday last year by the old matriarch from her own dowry. At that time, the old matriarch remarked that the pearls and rubies on the hairpin were rare treasures meant for our miss to keep for the future, to pass on to the legitimate grandson of the Shin family. At this revelation, the crowd erupted in uproar. All eyes instantly shifted from admiring the dance to scrutinizing and deriding Lu Ruyan, collectively focusing on the hairpin and earrings adorning her. The dowry of the old matriarch, specifically gifted to the former daughter-in-law, intended for her grandson. And now it was brazenly worn by a newly elevated concubine who had just conspired against the main wife. This was a direct slap to the face of the old matriarch. It laid bare the shameful family secrets of the Shin family before all. Lu Ruyan's face turned ashen. Instinctively, she reached to cover the hairpin atop her head, but her hand halted midway, her entire being teetering on the brink of collapse. Xin Yan, too, was taken aback, abruptly rising with a darkened expression. Nonsense. This is something I just bought for Ruyan. Chun Tao immediately shrank back, her voice quiet and aggrieved. I am not speaking nonsense. The pearl in the phoenix's beak on that hairpin has a delicate natural cloud pattern, visible only in sunlight. The old matriarch specifically showed it to our miss. And those ruby earrings, the back is engraved with a tiny zhou, which is the family emblem of the old matriarch's maternal side. If Xin Xiaoyu does not believe me, he may remove them right now and invite the ladies present to examine them. This was a venomous statement. The details were so precise that disbelief was impossible. Moreover, to have Xin Yan remove Lu Ruyan's jewelry on the spot for verification? What would that mean for Lu Ruyan's dignity? What about the Shin family's reputation? You wretched servant. Lu Ruyan trembled with rage, pointing at Chun Tao, her voice cracking. Xin Yan found himself in a precarious position, the veins on his forehead throbbing. His gaze fixated on the glaringly ostentatious gold and jewels adorning Lu Ruyan, feeling them for the first time to be exceedingly offensive and unwieldy. He suddenly recalled how Lu Ruyan had once coquettishly claimed to adore such adornments, and he had rashly waved his hand to procure them from the storeroom, never inquiring into their origins. How could he have known that these were gifts from his mother, meant for the legitimate grandchild? Enough, a commanding voice echoed, drawing the attention of the crowd. They turned to see the old matriarch, Madame Zhou, who had somehow arrived at the May Garden, supported by her maidservants, her countenance dark as storm clouds. She fixed her icy, piercing gaze upon Lu Ruyan's hairpin. Lu. Madame Zhou's voice, though not loud, resonated with undeniable authority and seething wrath. Who permitted you to touch my belongings? Lu Ruyan was struck with terror, her legs buckling as she collapsed onto the stage, her splendid feathered attire now soiled with dust. Old matriarch, I had no idea. She stammered, tears streaming down her face, entirely devoid of the confidence and glory she had moments before. Xin Yan, too, was flustered. Mother, Silence. Madame Zhou shot a fierce glare at Xin Yan, her eyes sweeping over the assembly of onlookers, consumed by the shame of having her old face tarnished. She took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing her fury, addressing the MC. Today, at the dance, Lu has acted inappropriately. The Shin family withdraws from the competition. With that, she turned her back on the trembling Lu Ruyan and the dejected Xin Yan, striding away. A meticulously prepared dream of the flower goddess had been utterly shattered. Lu Ruyan had become the biggest laughingstock of the Huazhao festival. The ornaments adorning her head were stolen, usurped honors, symbols of the Shin family's legitimate bloodline, and an indelible mark of identity she could never hope to attain. In the May Garden, laughter and whispers pierced the air like needles, mercilessly pricking the figure crumpled on the ground, utterly disheveled. I lifted my teacup, gently blowing away the froth, the rising steam obscuring a hint of icy mirth at the corners of my lips. This was merely the beginning. Lu Ruyan. The advantages of rebirth are not meant for such frivolous use. The turmoil of the flower festival spread like wings across Jiangning Prefecture, rendering Lu Ruyan a complete laughingstock. The label of a concubine who secretly donned her mother-in-law's dowry jewels was sufficient to obliterate her reputation within the aristocratic circles of Jiangning. Alongside her, Xin Yan was ridiculed for being blinded by lust, disregarding his own dignity for a woman unworthy of his attention. The Xin family's inner sanctum was shrouded in dark clouds. Madame Zhou, infuriated, fell ill, her disdain for Lu Ruyen reaching a peak, leading her to decree that Lu Ruyen be confined. Order to transcribe the lessons for women 100 times, with no permission to step outside until the task was completed. Master Xin raged at Xin Yan, berating him for his foolishness, lamenting how he had sullied the family's name for the sake of a woman, even contemplating the reduction of Xin Yan's authority over family businesses. Caught in the crossfire, Xin Yan was in a state of despair. On one hand, there were the tears and grievances of his beloved, and on the other, the wrath of his parents and the weight of familial pressure. His feelings for Lu Ruyen, under the relentless blows of reality, began to show cracks. The humiliation of the flower festival and his mother's icy gaze pierced his heart like a thorn. He began to question whether Lu Ruyen was truly as innocent and naive as he had believed. Did she genuinely remain unaware of the origins of those jewels? Confined in the courtyard, transcribing the tedious lessons for women, Lu Ruyen listened to the muffled sounds of mocking laughter from outside, her heart brimming with resentment and panic. She could not comprehend why, as a reborn individual who possessed foresight, her path should be fraught with such difficulties, when she ought to be trampling Suan beneath her feet and reclaiming what was rightfully hers. It had to be Suan. That vile woman. She must have orchestrated this. She had undoubtedly known the origins of those jewels, deliberately humiliating her during the flower festival. Yes, and that wretched maid, Chun Tao. The more Lu Ruyen pondered, the more her hatred intensified, her nails digging deep into her palms. No, she could not remain passive. She would retaliate. She would ensure Suwan's disgrace. A malicious thought took root in her heart. Wasn't Suwan divorced? Didn't she live alone? A divorced woman is the most vulnerable to scandal. Just a whisper of her involvement with a man would strip her of any semblance of dignity in Jiangning. Lu Ruyan's eyes gleamed with a frenzied light. She summoned her most trusted and most avaricious maid, Wang Pozi, and issued her commands, slipping a heavy pouch of silver into her hands. Days later, rumors about me began to circulate quietly through the streets of Jiangning. Initially, they were merely whispers. Have you heard? The new Mrs. Su from the west side of town? She's the one cast aside by the Xin family. What's the matter? TSK. She seems so dignified, but I've heard strange men frequent her abode late at night. Is that true? No way. Why not? Someone saw it with their own eyes. A young man visits her regularly, staying for half the day. What do you expect from a male and female alone together? Oh dear, how shameless. It's only been a short while since her divorce. The rumors spread like an epidemic, growing increasingly outrageous. From strange men visiting to being supported by a lover, to brazen promiscuity in broad daylight. Chun Tao burst in, tears streaming down her face, her eyes swollen. Miss, those gossips outside are spreading vile slanders about you. I was perusing the new fabric samples from the silk shop when I paused, my face betraying no emotion. Oh? What are they saying? Do tell. Chun Tao recounted the sordid tales she had heard, her voice trembling with indignation. Upon hearing it all, rather than feeling anger, I chuckled softly. Lu Ruyen could no longer contain herself. I set down the fabric, my gaze cold, realizing that such petty schemes were all she had left. Miss, you're still laughing. Chun Tao exclaimed, exasperated. What will you do if your reputation is ruined? Reputation? I scoffed. From the day I divorced Xin Yan, I never held any hope for a good name. This world is inherently unjust to women. I rose and walked to the window, gazing at the bustling street below. However, since she dares to sling mud, she shouldn't blame me for throwing it back, boiling hot. Chun Tao, fetch me ink and paper. Chun Tao was taken aback. Miss, what will you write? A story. A cold smile curved my lips. Lu Ruyen enjoys spreading gossip, so I shall craft a more thrilling, convoluted tale that will captivate all ears. I spread out the rice paper and dipped my brush in ink. With swift strokes, a scandalous and bizarre narrative took shape in my mind. The protagonist, a lowly-born concubine, ambitious and cunning. She, relying on her lord's favor, framed the legitimate wife, forcing her out. Yet, even after attaining her position, she remained unsatisfied and, in her lord's absence, climbed into the bed of her aging, corpulent father-in-law. Who held the family's power? Fearing exposure after becoming pregnant, she even resorted to bribing a local doctor to administer poison, plotting to ensure his natural demise. I wrote with fervor, the details vivid, the character traits unmistakably mirroring Lu Ruyan's own background, methods, and rise to favor. The physical characteristics of the father-in-law, along with his authoritative status, pointed directly at Master Shin. Once finished, I dried the ink and handed the pages to a bewildered Chun Tao. Seek out the most eloquent storytellers at the tea houses and those gossip mongers on the streets. Refine the story, embellish it with even more salacious details, and ensure it spreads far and wide. My gaze was sharp. The wider it spreads, the better. Pay particular attention to the streets surrounding the Shin family, as well as the workers and shopkeepers in their stores. Chun Tao accepted the papers, trembling with a mix of excitement and concern. Miss, won't this be too harsh? What if the Shin family? Harsh? I sneered. Did Lu Ruyan consider the meaning of cruelty when she sought to ruin my life with her slanders? As for the Shin family, if they possess any shame, they should manage their own backyard. If they neglect it, I shall take charge. Go now. Money is no object. What I desire is speed and impact. Chun Tao gritted her teeth. Yes, miss. I shall go at once. The speed at which the rumors spread exceeded all expectations. Especially my story, with its explosive plot, clear character allusions, and astonishingly rich details, carried an undeniable authenticity and insider perspective. Almost overnight, the streets and alleys of Jiangning, the tea houses and taverns, buzzed with discussions of this shocking secret. Have you heard? The Shin family. The same Shin family embroiled in the scandal of the concubine stealing her mother-in-law's jewels. They're in trouble again. What trouble? Tell me. A scandal of epic proportions. That concubine, Lu, in her bid for favor, climbed into Master Shin's bed. And got pregnant. My heavens. Is it true? What about young Master Shin? Oh, there's more. That Lu, fearing exposure, planned to poison Master Shin to ensure his natural death. Isn't that grotesque? This is too shocking. A concubine plotting against her own master. For wealth and power, of course. I hear Master Shin is quite robust. That Lu is willing to go to such lengths. No wonder she framed the legitimate wife. She had to clear the path for herself to serve the young and old. The Shin family has truly brought shame upon themselves. The rumors spread like wildfire, blazing fiercely, far more explosive than the previous tales of my supposed paramours, with a speed 100-fold greater. After all, scandals involving an elder's infidelity and a concubine's treachery are the most sensational and eye-catching. The slanders Lu Ruyan had once spread about me were instantly washed away in this tidal wave. No one cares whether I am a kept woman. Everyone's attention is firmly captivated by the tragic scandal enveloping the Shin family. The Shin household has become the greatest source of ridicule in Jiangning Prefecture. The situation within the Shin residence has descended into utter chaos. When Lord Shin first caught wind of the rumors, he dismissed them as mere idle gossip. It was only when the rumors escalated, with details so sordid they elicited outrage, and when whispers of disdainful, ambiguous smiles began to circulate behind his back, that he grasped the severity of the situation. Scandalous. Shameless. Base. Lord Shin erupted in fury within his study, smashing his most cherished inkstone. Who is it? Who dares to spread such slander and tarnish the reputation of the Shin family? I shall flay them alive. The steward, trembling in fear, knelt on the ground, my lord. Outside they speak with conviction, even claiming that concubine Lu is with child, and that it is yours. Nonsense. Lord Shin nearly fainted from rage, at his age. His reputation was paramount, and now he found himself drenched in such filthy disgrace. He pointed at the steward, his finger trembling. Go. Bring that troublemaker to me. I will interrogate her personally. Soon, Lu Ruyan was brought in after several days of confinement, her complexion haggard. Unaware of the turmoil outside, upon seeing Lord Shin's fury, she assumed it was regarding the flower festival and immediately knelt down, weeping. My lord, you must stand up for me. It was Suwon who framed me. Silence. Lord Shin bellowed, seizing a paperweight from the table and hurling it towards her, grazing her forehead, which made her scream and collapse onto the floor. Vile wretch. I ask you, are the sordid tales circulating outside true? Speak. Have you seduced some rogue man and become pregnant with his child? Do you wish to lay the blame on me? Lu Ruoyan felt as if struck by lightning, her mind reeling. My lord, what are you saying? What child? What blame? I do not understand. You still feign innocence. Lord Shin's rage intensified upon witnessing her seemingly innocent demeanor. The rumors have spread far and wide. They say you shamelessly crawled into my bed. They say you plotted to poison me. Lu Ruoyan, how treacherous your heart is. I, the Shin family, have treated you well. And Yenner has been sincere with you. Is this how you repay us? Only then did Lu Ruoyan comprehend the gravity of the situation. Her heart plunging into icy despair. She realized what was being said outside. Suwon, it must be that vile woman. She has concocted such a vile and lewd rumor to ruin me. No, my lord, it is not true. Lu Ruoyan cried out in terror, crawling toward Lord Shin to grasp his leg. It is Suwon. That wretched woman has slandered me. She spread these rumors. My lord, please see the truth. I hold you in utmost respect. I harbor no illicit thoughts. Yenner, believe me. At that moment, Shin Yen was also present in the study. Having heard the rumors earlier, he felt utterly bewildered. He gazed at the weeping Lu Ruoyan, who appeared so foreign and tainted to him. The details of the rumors were too specific, leading him to unsettling conclusions. His father's figure, Lu Ruoyan occasionally bringing snacks to his father's study. And after the flower festival, Lu Ruoyan had privately complained about his father's strictness towards her. Could it be true? Shin Yan's expression shifted from shock and anguish to suspicion and revulsion. Slander? Lord Shin, consumed by rage, laughed bitterly. Suwon slanders you? A discarded woman, cast aside, possesses such power to persuade all of Jiangning Prefecture to believe her lies? A fly does not alight upon an uncracked egg. Lu Ruoyan, you know well the shameful deeds you have committed. I have not. I truly have not. Lu Ruoyan screamed in despair, suddenly remembering something, as if grasping a lifeline. Yes. My lord, you can summon a doctor. Have him examine me. I am innocent. I am not pregnant. This is proof of the slander. Very well. Very well. Lord Shin gritted his teeth. Summon. At once. Bring the finest doctors in Jiangning Prefecture to me. Let them examine her before everyone. If they confirm she is with child, a fierce glint flashed in his eyes. I shall throw you into the pond to uphold our family's honor. Lu Ruoyan collapsed on the ground, trembling, yet a glimmer of hope flickered within her. She was not pregnant. As long as they examined her, her innocence would be proven. At that moment, she vowed to make Suwon, that wretched woman, pay dearly. Soon, 3 highly esteemed elder doctors were summoned to the Shin residence. In the chilling atmosphere of the study, before Lord Shin, Shin Yen, the hastily arrived Madame Zhou, and several clan elders summoned to witness. They took turns examining Lu Ruoyan's pulse. Lu Ruoyan extended her wrist, forcing herself to appear calm, yet her gaze was filled with venomous resentment. Fixated on the doorway as if Suwon stood there. Time slowly passed. The first elder doctor completed his examination, his brow furrowed, and after a careful probe, he fell silent. The second elder doctor finished, his expression turning peculiar as he exchanged glances with the first. The third elder doctor took the longest to examine her, finally retracting his hand, stroking his beard, his countenance grave. The study was engulfed in an eerie silence. Everyone held their breath. Lord Shin asked in a deep voice, "What is it? Is she pregnant?" The 3 elder doctors exchanged looks, and at last, the eldest among them spoke. His voice tinged with a barely perceptible awkwardness and certainty. In response to Lord Shin, "This concubine has indeed been with child for over a month." Boom! It was as if a thunderclap exploded over Lu Ruoyan's head. The color drained from her face in an instant. She sprang to her feet, shrieking, "Impossible! You are lying. Quacks. You are all quacks bribed by Suwon. How could I be pregnant? I am not. I am not." She seemed to go mad, lunging at the doctors, only to be restrained by the nearby maids. Shin Yan's countenance faded to ashen despair upon hearing the news of her pregnancy. The last flicker of light in his eyes extinguished, leaving only boundless coldness and silence. Over a month ago was the time surrounding the flower festival. During that period, he had been consumed by shame and parental reprimands, never having touched Lu Ruoyan. Had she truly become pregnant by another man? Who could it be? Could it be Shin Yen could not bear to contemplate further, feeling a wave of nausea rise within him. Lord Shin trembled with rage. pointing at the seemingly deranged Lu Ruoyan, his finger quivering so violently he could not articulate. You shameless wretch, indeed. Madame Zhou, standing nearby, looked at Lu Ruoyan with a face as pale as death, her gaze akin to that of a person observing a pile of filth, coldly uttering 2 words, harlot. The clan elders shook their heads repeatedly, sighing, what a misfortune for the family. Truly, what a misfortune. No, it is not true. Suwon harmed me. It was her. She must have drugged me. Made me appear pregnant. Lu Ruoyan struggled desperately, her hair disheveled, tears streaming down her face, completely devoid of her previous pitiful demeanor. Yenner, you must believe me. I am innocent. I am being framed. Framed? Shen Yan finally spoke, his voice hoarse and dry, laced with endless fatigue and coldness. Who could frame you for being pregnant? Lu Ruoyan, at this point, do you still wish to argue? I have treated you with sincerity. And this is how you repay me? By crawling into my father's bed? By carrying my brother's child? The weight of the words my brother was heavy, imbued with mockery and piercing pain. I did not crawl into the Lord's bed. Lu Ruoyan cried out in despair, but then froze, her eyes starting in confusion. Whose child is this? She herself was bewildered. She had not been with any other man. Suddenly, a figure flashed through her mind. Granny Wang, the maid who helped spread Suwon's rumors. Just days before, Granny Wang had eagerly brought her a bowl of calming soup, claiming it was a new recipe that would help her sleep well and bolster her spirits to confront Suwon. Could there have been something wrong with that soup? It was Granny Wang. Lu Ruoyan seized upon this last thread of hope, shouting, it was she. She must have drugged my soup. Made me appear pregnant. She colluded with Suwon. Enough. With a thunderous roar, Lord Shen felt a throbbing pain at his temples, his vision clouding in darkness. Drag this shameless harlot, this vile woman, away. Lock her in the woodshed. No one is permitted to release her without my command. No, my lord. I am wronged. Brother Yen, save me, please. Lu Ruoyan's desperate cries echoed as the maids forcibly dragged her away, fading into the distance. The study fell into a deathly silence. Shen Yan stood there, lost and despondent, like a lifeless statue. Lord Shen collapsed into the grand chair, as if a decade of age had been thrust upon him in an instant. Madame Zhou, eyes closed, twisted her prayer beads, murmuring incantations. Several clan elders sighed and shook their heads before rising to take their leave. The scandal surrounding the Shen family could no longer be contained. Lu Ruoyan found herself confined in the dark, damp woodshed. She curled up on the cold straw, both hungry and chilled, her heart filled with boundless dread and overwhelming hatred. Outside, the whispers of the supervising maids seeped through the walls intermittently. Is she really pregnant? TSK, one cannot judge a book by its cover. I heard the master nearly had a stroke from rage, and the young master appears utterly lost. Serves her right. Such a lowly creature deserves to be drowned in a pig's pen. Shoo, keep your voice down. Word has it that the Madame Oh No Miss Su has issued a statement. What statement? They say that justice will be served and retribution is inevitable. Some individuals, despite their cunning schemes, end up losing their own lives. It is not that justice is denied, it is merely that the timing has not yet arrived. When it does, all debts will be settled. How satisfying that sounds. Lu Ruoyan bit her lip fiercely, tasting blood. Suwon, it is all her doing. She has brought me to this wretched state. Retribution? Retribution. Lu Ruoyan's laughter turned manic, her gaze unfocused. My rebirth is a divine opportunity bestowed upon me. It is my chance for vengeance. It is a chance to revel in luxury. How could it be retribution? I refuse to believe it. I refuse. Suddenly, she leapt to her feet, rushing to the broken window of the woodshed, and screamed into the night, Suwon, you venomous witch. May you meet a terrible fate, even in death. I shall not forgive you. In response, only the impatient rebuke of the maids and the howling wind met her. The door of the woodshed had remained unopened for days. No one brought food or water. Lu Ruoyan, starving and parched, felt the inexplicable pain of her unborn child intensify, compounded by terror. She sensed her life slipping away. As her consciousness began to fade, the woodshed door creaked open slightly. A familiar figure slipped inside. It was Wang Pa. Lu Ruoyan's eyes ignited with hope. Mother Wang. It is you. Quickly. Save me. I knew you were loyal. It was Suwon who forced you, wasn't it? Take me away. Yet. The familiar flattery was absent from Wang Po's face. She approached Lu Ruyan, her gaze complex, tinged with a hint of pity, yet predominantly cold. Madam, I have come to bid you farewell. Bidding farewell? Lu Ruyan was taken aback. Wang Po produced an oil paper package from her bosom, containing 2 cold, hard buns and a small flask of water. Eat and drink a bit, at least, die with a full stomach. Lu Ruyan stared at the buns and water. Then at Wang Po's indifferent face, a chill surged from her feet to the crown of her head. What do you mean? Who wants to kill me? Xin Yan? Or the master? She recoiled in terror. Wang Po sighed. Madam, do not blame me for my heartlessness. Your actions have stirred quite the turmoil. You have brought disgrace upon the Xin family. The master and young master can no longer tolerate you. The elders have decided it is best to say you succumb to illness. Succumb to illness? No, I refuse. I am innocent. Mother Wang, help me. Help me escape. I will give you money. All my money. Escape? Wang Po shook her head, a hint of mockery in her eyes. Madam, do you not see? In Jiangning. Where else can you flee? Miss Su will not let you go. Upon hearing Suwon's name, Lu Ruyan felt as if she had been bitten by a venomous snake. Her entire body shuddering. It was her. She sent you, didn't she? She clutched Wang Po's garment desperately. Wang Po pried her fingers away, lowering her voice. Madam, out of our shared history, I will reveal a secret. Your pregnancy is a fabrication. A fabrication. Lu Ruyan's pupils dilated. I knew it. I knew it was false. Suwon orchestrated this, didn't she? Yes and no. Wang Po's gaze flickered. The concoction indeed came from Miss Su, potent enough to mimic the signs of pregnancy, even fooling the most experienced doctors. However, she paused, witnessing Lu Ruyan's flickering hope, and cruelly delivered the latter part of her statement, but that potion has a peculiar characteristic. If the antidote is not taken within 7 days, the false pregnancy will become genuine, leading to a miscarriage and a fatal hemorrhage. Even the divine cannot save you. The color drained from Lu Ruyan's face entirely. It was as if she had been struck by lightning, leaving her frozen in place, breathless. A false pregnancy becoming real? A miscarriage? What day is today? She suddenly recalled the subtle pain in her abdomen before being locked away. A piercing, despairing scream erupted, shattering the woodshed's silence. Lu Ruyan clawed at her abdomen, as if trying to excavate the cursed seed that was consuming her life. No, no, I refuse to die. Suwon, you are treacherous. You are treacherous. The antidote. I need the antidote. She lunged at Wang Po, but was harshly shoved away. Wang Po observed her frantic state, the last vestige of pity evaporating from her eyes, leaving only coldness and a barely perceptible satisfaction. The antidote? Wang Po scoffed. Do you truly believe Miss Su would provide that for you? She instructed me to convey a message. Wang Po mimicked my previously icy tone, enunciating each word. Lu Ruyan, in the last life, you owe me a life. In this life, I shall personally send you down on the road to the underworld. Ponder well on how to live in your next life. Having said that, Wang Po turned her back, hastily leaving and locking the woodshed door behind her. Inside, only Lu Ruyan's desperate screams and scratching echoed in the air. Suwon, I shall not forgive you, even in death. Xin Yan, I hate you. I despise all of you. The antidote. I need the antidote. I refuse to die. I refuse. Her voice gradually diminished, fading into anguished moans and sobs. The pain in her abdomen grew increasingly severe, as if countless knives were twisting within. A warm liquid uncontrollably surged forth, soaking her thin garment, staining the cold straw with a ghastly dark red. Lu Ruyan curled up, her body convulsing violently, her consciousness slowly consumed by agony and darkness. Just before plunging into eternal oblivion, the last image reflected in her dazed pupils was the gray sky beyond the woodshed window, along with Suwon's calm, coldly smiling face. She opened her mouth, as if to curse, but all that escaped was a mouthful of blood-tinged foam. In this rebirth, amidst all the scheming, she had ultimately brought about her own demise. When the news reached my small courtyard, I was watering a pot of ink orchids. Chun Tao rushed in, her face alight with the thrill of vengeance. Miss, she is dead. Lu Yang is dead. There was blood everywhere in the woodshed. The doctor said it was a miscarriage and she could not be saved. My hand, holding the watering can, paused momentarily. Water cascaded down onto the verdant leaves of the orchids, glistening droplets rolling off. "Oh," I replied nonchalantly, continuing to water, my movement steady, devoid of any ripple of emotion. Chaos reigned over the Shin household. Lord Shin, infuriated, truly suffered a stroke, collapsing helplessly onto his bed. Young Master Shin, upon hearing of Lu Yingyang's demise, locked himself away, not emerging for a day and night, as if he had lost his wits. Chun Tao's tone was laden with both pity and satisfaction. Having finished watering, I set down the watering can and picked up a soft cloth, meticulously wiping the water stains from the orchid leaves. Sunlight streamed through the window bars, casting its glow upon the pristine petals, creating a serene and beautiful scene. I understood. Remaining composed, I proceeded to retrieve several bolts of shoe brocade that had just arrived at the silk shop, examining their patterns. Miss Chuntao observed my tranquil profile, hesitating to speak. "Aren't you saddened?" "Sad?" I lifted my gaze towards the brilliant spring sunlight outside, a faint yet genuine smile gradually gracing my lips. "Why should I be sad? From this moment on, no one shall impede my peace." The sky over Jiangning Prefecture appeared even bluer. I set down the cloth, my fingertips brushing against the supple leaves of the black orchid. "Chuntao, prepare the carriage. Let us visit the newly opened embroidery shop in the east of the city. I've heard it boasts a prime location and considerable foot traffic. Henceforth, it shall bear the surname Su." The sunlight warmly enveloped me. The door knocker of the newly purchased residence gleamed brilliantly, its copper surface pleasantly cool to the touch. With a firm push, I opened the heavy courtyard door. Creak. The sound of the door hinge resonated distinctly in the quiet alley. Inside lay a courtyard, meticulously cleaned and adorned with blue bricks, where a few newly planted plum trees had just begun to sprout tender buds. Sunlight poured unimpeded across the entire yard. "Miss, this door knocker is truly brilliant," Chun Nao exclaimed cheerfully, following closely behind. I raised my hand, my fingertips gliding over the cool copper ring, embossed with simple cloud patterns. "Indeed," I responded, stepping over the threshold. Feeling its weight. Heavy, this burden signifies a new life. It also embodies the solid relief of having completely cast off the shackles of the past. The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and we shall meet again in the next story.